the beginning the world was formless and empty. Only darkness filled the endless deep. Darkness covered the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Then God said,
"Let there be light."
And there was light. God saw that the light was good. He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness night. And evening passed, and morning came. The first day, God said,
"Let there be a space between the waters, to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth."
And God made this space to separate the waters above from the waters below. And God called the space sky. Evening passed, and morning came. The second day, God said,
"Let the waters be gathered, so dry ground may appear."
And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the waters seas. And God saw that it was good. God said,
"Let the land sprout with plants and grasses."
Trees grew and bore fruit, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Evening passed, morning came, the third day. God said,
"Let lights appear in the sky to separate day from night."
These lights mark days, seasons, and years. God made the sun to rule the day, and the moon to rule the night. And God saw that it was good. God said,
"Let the waters be filled with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth."
God blessed them, saying,
"Be fruitful and multiply. Let the earth produce every kind of animal."
And God saw that it was good. God formed man from the dust and breathed into him the breath of life. Man became a living soul. God made woman from man and brought her to him. God saw all he had made, and it was very good. On the seventh day, God rested. Thus the heavens and earth were completed.
The earth was filled with wickedness. Men had turned away from God, and their hearts were consumed by evil, violence, and God was grieved. His heart was filled with sorrow, for the world he had made was drowning in sin.
The end of all flesh has come before me.
Build an ark, for I will send a great flood upon the earth.
And Noah obeyed. With steadfast heart he began the work, trusting every word that came from God.
He raised the first beam, and the work began. One step at a time, by faith, the ark would rise.
Day by day, the ark took shape, a vessel of hope in a world doomed by sin.
They mocked him. They laughed and scorned, for they did not believe.
But Noah did not turn away. He trusted God, even when the world turned against him.
Then came the creatures, 2 by 2. Called by God, they walked in peace towards safety.
Noah welcomed them all. The ark became a sanctuary, built by faith, filled with life. The ark was nearly complete. Soon the heavens would open, and the earth would tremble.
They prayed together as the day faded, for the storm would soon come, and they would be sealed in God's mercy.
And the Lord closed the door behind them. The time of mercy had ended.
A single drop fell, then another. Heaven wept, and judgment began.
The heavens burst forth. the fountains of the deep broke open, and all the earth trembled.
The waters rose higher and higher, covering the tallest trees, drowning every living thing.
Only the ark remained, a lifeboat of mercy upon a sea of wrath.
For 40 days and 40 nights the flood raged. Yet Noah and all within were safe.
But God remembered Noah. His mercy never fades.
Noah released a raven into the sky, searching for a sign of dry land, but it did not return.
Then came the dove, with an olive branch in its beak.
The waters began to recede. Mountains rose from the deep, and dry land returned.
And the ark came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. The journey was ending.
God opened the way, and life stepped forward into a new beginning.
Noah stepped onto dry ground. A new earth. A fresh start.
Noah built an altar and gave thanks, for God had kept his promise. And God said, "Never again will I flood the earth." He made a covenant of peace.
From devastation came new life. The earth began again.
The rainbow stood as a promise. A covenant that still endures.
After the flood, the descendants of Noah grew in number. They journeyed eastward and settled together on a vast plain. The people spoke one language and worked together. In unity, they flourished. One day, they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower that reaches the heavens, so we will make a name for ourselves."
And so they began, stone upon stone, brick upon brick. The Tower of Babel began to rise. With great ambition and skill, they labored. The tower climbed higher with each passing day. A city rose around the tower, strong, proud, and full of life.
But pride began to grow. They sought to reach heaven, not to worship God, but to glorify themselves.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building.
And God said, "Let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other."
Suddenly, they could not understand one another. Confusion filled the city, and work came to a stop.
The great work ceased. Their ambition shattered by confusion.
So the people scattered across the face of the earth, each to their own path.
The tower remained, unfinished and forgotten, a monument to man's pride.
Each tribe spoke a new language, born in a single moment, carried across generations. And so the memory of the tower lived on, told from one generation to the next.
God was not mocked. His will prevailed. His plan moved forward.
The Tower of Babel stood as a warning that pride leads to confusion, but obedience brings life.
From one people came many, and from many, God's story would continue.
The once mighty tower was swallowed by time, its ambition buried beneath the earth.
Yet from their scattering, The seeds of language and culture began to grow.
The earth was filled with voices, each language carrying its own story, its own soul.
Scattered though they were, their minds grew wiser. Knowledge traveled through stories and stars.
Though the tower fell, its echo remained, etched in the bones of every city ever built.
God's promise still held true, a covenant not just of mercy, but of purpose.
And so the tale of Babel was passed down, not as a triumph, but a truth. From division came destiny. God would call one man from many to bless the world. And soon, from among them, one would rise, a man named Abram. From Shem, the son of Noah, came many generations, and in time, Terah was born.
Terah, the son of Nahor, had 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran, and from this family would come a promise greater than they could imagine. But tragedy came. Haran, Abram's brother, died in Ur, leaving behind his son, Lot. Abram and Sarai lived in peace, surrounded by the culture and prosperity of Ur. But in his heart, Abram longed for something more.
Ur was a city of many gods, crafted by the hands of men. But Abram could not find truth in their lifeless eyes.
Though he did not yet know it, the stars above would mark his journey. Abram felt the stirring of something beyond this world. Abram could not sleep. Though the night was quiet, something stirred within him, a longing that even the stars could not answer.
Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you.
Abram shared the call he had heard, and Sarai, though afraid, chose to trust, her faith anchored in love. And so, Abram gathered his family, his belongings, and his courage. With faith in what he could not yet see,
Abram and his family passed through the great gates of Ur, leaving behind all that was familiar, stepping into a promise yet unseen. And Abram departed, just as the Lord had spoken to him. He left behind comfort and certainty.
That night, beneath the countless stars, Abram pondered the call of the unseen God. He could not yet know that from him, a nation would rise like the stars above.
Are you sure, Abram? To leave everything behind? For a voice you heard in the night? My heart follows yours, wherever God would lead.
Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. And the voice of the Lord came to Abram in the stillness of night, calling him to a destiny beyond his understanding. And when morning came, Abram knew the voice was real. He set his heart to obey.
Sarai, God has spoken. He has called me to leave this land, to leave everything. And Abram told Sarai all that the Lord had spoken, of the journey ahead, of the promise unseen.
And so, with hearts heavy but spirits stirred, Abram bid farewell to the only home he had known. And Abram journeyed into the unknown, not knowing where he was going, but trusting the voice that called him. Every step forward was an act of faith.
The road was long, and the silence heavy. But Abram did not turn back. Though the path was unknown, he trusted the one who called.
And just when the land seemed endless, a gift appeared. Life in the wilderness. A place of rest, a reminder that they were not forgotten.
In the still waters, they found more than rest. They found renewal.
A sign that even in the barren places, God brings life.
Refreshed by grace, they walked on, into the unknown.
Abram did not know where he was going, only that he was led.
The desert tested them, body, soul, and faith. The road of obedience was not an easy one.
And the Lord showed Abram the stars, countless as the sands.
When Abram awoke, his heart was changed. He knew the voice was real.
Sarai watched the man she loved. She did not yet know where they were going, but she knew she would follow.
And so, the family gathered, obediently.
And so Abram set out, trusting the voice that called him, not knowing where, only that God would lead.
The days passed quietly, and Abram waited.
He did not know how or when, but he believed the Lord would speak again.
And the Lord said, "Look now toward the heavens and count the stars, if you are able. So shall your descendants be."
As the sun set, a deep sleep fell upon Abram.
And behold, a smoking firepot and a blazing torch passed between the pieces.
On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, "To your descendants I give this land." And Abram built an altar to the Lord, who had appeared to him, and he worshipped there.
And the Lord said to Abram, "To your descendants I will give this land." And he looked upon it with awe.
Abram came to the great tree of Moreh, and there the Lord appeared to him once more.
There Abram built an altar to the Lord, who had appeared to him, and he worshipped.
And the Canaanites were then in the land, dwelling in the land that God had promised.
And the Lord said to Abram, "To your offspring I will give this land."
And Abram journeyed on, step by step, carrying with him the promise of God.
And there, in the land God had promised, Abram made his first camp, resting in the shadow of faith.
And Abram gave thanks, offering praise to the God who had guided him to this promised place.
And under the stars, Abram knew his God was near.
And the Lord said, "Your descendants will be as the dust of the earth, too many to count."
And so they journeyed through the land, trusting the path laid before them.
Before them lay the land and the mountains, a land promised, but still distant.
And so they pressed on, step by step, into the land that had been shown to them.
And before them lay the valley, rich and wide, sacred and silent, land promised by the Eternal One.
And so they rested, under the shade of trees by quiet waters, in the land of promise.
Alone with his God, Abram prayed, not for more, but in quiet thanks for what had been promised.
And in the silence, the voice of the Lord reached Abram's soul. And then it came, not a sound, but a direction.
the breath of God guiding him eastward, into the land yet unseen. Abram gathered his people, and as morning broke, they made ready, called not by sight, but by faith.
And so, with one final look behind, Abram turned his heart from what was known.
They journeyed forth, leaving behind comfort and kin, following only the promise of a land unseen. They entered the shadow of the mountains, where the path grew steep, and faith alone lit the way forward. Beneath stone walls carved by time, they pressed on, surrounded by danger, yet carried by purpose. And there, beneath the heavens, God spoke again, not in thunder, but in vision and flame.